Hey guys, it's Sarah here today, and I wanted to show you a bit about how I use eBay to find some really unique, cool design pieces that aren't going to cost you a bomb. eBay is basically like my #1 resource to find kind of really cool, quirky vintage stuff that not everyone's going to have, and sometimes at a really good price as well. So I love going to the vintage and antique shops, but a lot of the time those things are just out of my price range. And eBay is basically a really good place to just find something very similar, if not the exact same thing, at a lot less. So I'm just going to take you through a really easy way that I use eBay if you're kind of new to eBay, and if you're a bit of an experienced eBay user, then I'll just show you a couple of tricks that I use to hear about the best pieces first, and also just to find some really clever ways of finding cheaper things. So stay tuned. For now, I'll just show you the basics of how I would search for an item on eBay. So I'll look for brass dining chairs, which is something that I've wanted for my house for a while. I actually found some recently using eBay, so if you've been reading my blog, you probably have seen that already. And kind of knowing what you want really comes in handy here. So if you know the style of things, so you might want an Art Deco piece or a mid-century modern piece, that's really helpful. But you don't need to know what you're looking for, and I'll kind of go into that in detail in a minute. But so for now, if you know what you're looking for, obviously you're going to end up with some results here. There's not a huge amount of results for this at the moment because it's really close to Christmas, so I don't think anyone's probably listing much. But what you want to start doing is go down the left-hand side and just refine down your results. So the first thing you can do is, like, if you know you want an antique piece or a vintage piece, you might want to just click on the antiques category, which will refine it down and just give you the antique answers. You may also have a budget that you want to stick to, so you can use this price options to go between, put your top end budget in the right hand side. The auction and buy it now options. So buy it now is stuff that you can buy instantly. This one here is a buy it now, for example, and they're good if you want something quickly, but they also are usually, the seller's already decided on their price that they want for that item, so you're not really going to end up with a bargain. Well, sometimes you can, but the auction way is definitely a better way to go about it if you're trying to find a real bargain. The other thing I would definitely suggest to do is narrow it down in terms of location. So you may want to, you don't want to be buying something if you're in Croydon that's in Scotland, where it's going to cost you a fortune to get it down here, or there'll be pick up only and you can't pick it up. So you want to maybe refine this down to results that are within maybe 10-15 miles of where you live. So those are some options down the left hand side just to kind of refine down your answers. Once you've done that, what you can do is, if there's no results and you've not found what you want, you can click to follow this search. And this is my first tip. So I would set up, if you've got a load of stuff that you're looking for your house and you want to get it at bargain prices and you know it's not that easy to find, you want to do a search for all of those items and then do your refinements and then follow the search. And what that means is basically what it says. So you'll get followed brass dining chairs to get email alerts and updates on your eBay feed. So what that means is you're like ahead of everyone else. So as soon as someone lists a brass dining chair with that title, it's going to come through to my email inbox straight away. And that way I can see things as soon as they go listed. And I actually did this with the brass dining chairs recently. I followed the search, and as soon as the chairs came up that I wanted, I just emailed the seller straight away and was like, I'll make you an offer for these chairs, and she took it. So that was a really, really good way for me to just find out about stuff first. So you just click follow this search, and as long as you're signed in, if you're not signed in, it will prompt you to sign in. It will tick and say follow this search, and you can when you do it, it will give you this tick option. Email me new items that match this interest. Yes, I definitely want to hear about that. So that's a really good tip, to hear about stuff first. And the other thing I was going to say as well is, like, if you don't know necessarily what you're searching for, that's not actually a bad thing, because sometimes the people selling things don't know what they've got either. And you can sometimes find the best bargains that way. So if someone's listed mid-century sideboard, they know what it is, they know its value. Whereas if you are just searching simply for sideboard and you're following that search and you're getting email updates, then you're going to get the sellers who don't really know what they've got, or maybe they might call it a side table, or they might not know the correct name for it. And that's where you're going to find the real bargains, by using less descriptive terms, because those sellers are less likely to know what they're selling, and therefore you'll get a better deal. I'll move on to another tip that I like to use. So the number one is follow this search. Number two is be more vague with your search terms. So it takes a bit longer. Yes, you have to look through more results, but the likelihood is you're going to find a seller who doesn't know the value of what they've got, so you can get a really good deal. My third tip is to use this site up here called fatfingers.co.uk. And basically what it does is, instead of searching the normal listings, it will search for all the listings that have typos. So if you're looking for brass dining chairs and you've put that in the search box on eBay, if you find results that have spelling mistake, no one else is going to be finding them, because they're just looking for the correct spelling of that item. I hope that makes sense. But basically, fatfingers.co.uk is a really cool site because, as it says, thousands of items are listed on eBay with spelling mistakes. These often end with no bids because no one can find them. Amazing for us, because we can get a real bargain there. So you need to select your country, either UK or USA if you're in the States, and you can do a search. So I'll do one for sideboard find. And what it's going to do is just show you a link below that you can click on, if it will let me scroll down, and you just click to view on eBay, and it's going to show you all of the results for sideboard that have been spelt wrong. So this is really good because it's a great way to find bargains, because people haven't spelt their thing properly. So if you look along the top, look, Fat Fingers has kind of gone through all the trouble of putting in all the, titles that someone could have spelt it as. So you can see these, someone's missed an R in sideboard, someone's missed an A, and you can just start to have a look through these, and sometimes you can find some real bargains, because just people won't, the likelihood of them finding these misspelled ones is pretty slim. So that's my third tip. The fourth tip I would say is that once you have found something that you like, sometimes items will say collection only. I'm just going to see if I can find one to sort of show you what I mean. These are all buy it now. But so you see it says collection only. But there's actually a really, loads of people will not bid on items because they say collection only. And there's a really easy way to get around this. Basically, you need to use a service called Shiply, which I've opened up here. It's shiply.com, www.shiply.com. And basically, this is like an auction site for people to bid on couriering for you, if that's a word. Couriering? I don't know. So basically, all you need to do is put in the product you're moving, where you're picking it up from, where you're getting it delivered to, and then people will bid on giving you different quotes of how much they'll charge you to courier your item for you. And I've had quotes that have come back to pick up something from all the way in East London. I'm in deep South London, and I think I got the first bid, I guess you call it, the first bid I got was about 100 quid, and then within a few hours it was all the way down to 40 quid. So people keep bidding cheaper and cheaper to get the job. So in the end it cost me an extra 40 quid to get an armchair from East London to me, and I think they did it the next day. So it's a really, really good service. And when you're actually getting the quotes for items, it's really well connected with eBay. So you can literally just paste in the eBay item number, which you'll find. Let's just go into this one so I can show you quickly. You'll find the eBay item number. Testing me now. I think actually you find it once you start bidding on it. It might be in your dashboard. But basically you can paste in, or I think you can paste in even the URL of the site or the eBay number, and it will kind of fill in all these details for you. Look, is it an eBay item? Yes. You can just put in the eBay number and it will pull all the details. But even if it's not, if you were just using the Shipley service for something else. You can be really brief. Like I've put in, you know, asked for the length, width and stuff. I've literally just like guessed it or gone online and said, how much does an armchair weigh, and literally just put in like whatever the answer is. So it doesn't need to be exact at all. The delivery people will usually know, like if you're picking up an armchair, like how big it's going to be. And all you need to do is just make sure that you're communicating with the seller on eBay, and just make sure that they're happy with you to arrange a courier to go and pick it up. And most of the time they are, because you've already paid for it, and then you just send the courier, and as long as you've liaised with them to make sure that they're, you know, at home and they have the product ready, then it's a really good way to do it. And then it doesn't really matter if it's a collection only, because you can arrange the courier. When people say like free, you know, collection only, it just means that they don't want to have to deal with setting up the courier. So if you as the buyer set up the courier, then they're usually more than happy to oblige. Every time I've done it with collection only items, and they've always gone for the courier option. And all that you do with Shipley is you book it in, and I think you pay a £10 deposit for your you know, your delivery once you've chosen the driver that you actually want, and then you just pay the rest to the driver when they arrive. So you can either pay it in cash, or you can pay it over the phone with the delivery company that you've chosen through Shipley. So those are my 4 tips. The first one is to refine down your options. The second one is to follow the search. The third one is to look for spelling mistakes that people have used, and the fourth one is to use Shipley to get items delivered that might say they're collection only. So those are my 4 tips. I hope you found those useful. I hope it's potentially stuff that you didn't know about before. I'd love to hear if you can find some cool stuff on eBay. I've found like amazing stuff. I've got little bits of accessories and decor. I've got a set of 6 brass dining chairs that would have been, you know, hundreds of pounds each, and I think I got the whole set for like 130 quid plus maybe 30 quid delivery with Shipley, which is pretty cheap. If you think like even to order something from IKEA, like my house is near IKEA in Croydon, and the delivery is 40 quid just to get it, like literally a 5-minute journey. So to use Shipley and get like a 40 quid quote to go across London is pretty good if you ask me. So those are my 4 tips to use eBay and find some super bargains. Let me know how you get on, and I'd love to hear if you guys have any eBay tips, so feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll see you next time.